I'd like for y'all to meet my co-worker. Introduce yourself.
Hi, my name's Karen. I'm an addict in recovery, and I'm really excited to be here with y'all tonight.
Yeah. Part of what we're going to do tonight, and is me just explaining that, man, when I come out here, I like to look at this as like a group setting. A group setting, you know? And what I always do is think of a particular topic that we can talk about. I research it, read about it, do all that, and we talk about it. And we try not to come up with the same topic unless it's about change. We can always talk about change. Not enough, you know, because we want that man to sink in, you know. So sometimes, if y'all want a particular topic, you know, throw it out there. And we might talk about it. We might, you know. But anyway, the topic that we wanted to talk about tonight was about commitment. Commitment. That's a biggie. That's a biggie. And me and Karen was riding down, and as I was saying, I was telling Karen, nothing starts without a commitment, some kind of commitment, nothing will start. Change will not take place unless you make a commitment. And let's just think about it, man. Let's think about it. Some of the shit stuff that y'all have committed to. I don't know why, but we don't have a problem committing to things, stuff, or shit that's going to take away our life, take away things out of our life, rather than committing to something that's going to add something to my life. You know? Man, first and foremost, when I introduce myself as an addict, you know? And man, my brother right here, he hollered at me before the group started, you know? And he was telling me, like, man, I had some rough days, man, you know, trying to get my body and my mind back together, you know? And he said, methamphetamines, trying to kick off of the methamphetamines, you know? And I was like, damn, the commitment, man. Not to take myself through that shit again. You know what I'm saying? You know, you got choices, man. You got options, man. You got solutions. You ain't got to go through that. You know, man, it's amazing, man. When we come here, we always see somebody that we know. We always see somebody that we know. See the brother over here that I know, you know? So that just let me know, man, that if you can be non-committal and you can end up right back in here, you know? You can be non-committal and stuff would happen. Shit will happen, you know? And part of the commitment, man, is to ourselves. Knowing who and what we are. You know, who I am. I'm a dope fiend. I'm an addict. I'm somebody that loves to use. I play it all the way through, though. Man, I started looking at the consequences of my using. I ain't trying to go back to the penitentiary for another 6 years. I don't know what kind of time I got over my head. But anyway, that resonates with me. It resonates to me, the consequences. And man, believe it or not, man, I got grandkids. And we going through the same thing, man. Same thing. Somebody told me in here, man, there's certain things about life, man. Life and issues are ongoing. If you don't get it early in life, you're going to get it later in life.
That's true of recovery, too.
Yes. If you don't get it early, you're going to get it later. Now, I like Karen to talk about, man, like, when we talk about commitment, man, it's like what I do to build a foundation for myself, you know? And Karen is, man, I've heard her time after time again talk about the flight and fight. Whether I fight for what I got or whether I take flight. You know? Me, I'm at that point now where, man, I fight for what I got. You ain't going to take me somewhere where I don't want to go. You know? I ain't going there. You know, I'm going to fight. Some of us get in that flight mode. You know, I'm going to run. You know? I'm going to run because I can't deal with it. You know? Man, we got to learn, man. We got to learn, man, how to be committed. You know? How to be committed. What I want to say about Karen, man, me and Karen used to work together in the Pomorca Regional Jail. You know? That's where we met my brother at. That's where we met somebody else at. Pomorca Regional Jail. Yeah, yeah. That's where we met him at. You know what I mean? And man, Karen decided that she was going to go back to school and further her education.
I'm gonna step in.
Yeah.
Didn't understand that stopping drug use was just the beginning of recovery. I thought if I'm not using, everything's gonna be okay. But I kept making bad choices, bad decisions, doing stupid things, getting myself into trouble, and finding my way back to using again. You know what I mean? Yeah, okay, heads none. Got into recovery, was gifted with an opportunity to go down into Pamunkey and speak, met Marshall, and within a couple months, he starts talking to me about I can commit to things for a year at a time. I thought, what is he talking about? I don't know how to commit to something for a week right now. You know, it's like I'm just barely getting my ass out of bed and getting going. But he kept telling me, you know, no, we're going to develop the ability to make some real commitments. We're going to show up on a consistent basis. And I followed that. I listened, jumped in some people's pockets and started following that, learning about making commitment to myself, making a commitment to my job, making a commitment to my family. I didn't know how to do that stuff. I was non-committal all the way through. If something better was going on, I was in that, and you didn't matter anymore. That was my story. So learning how to make these commitments transformed the way I felt about myself, how I carried myself, you know, developing some character, some integrity, shit, you know. I actually like myself today. I can count on myself today. It feels pretty good.
Yeah. Some of y'all know, man, I went through knee replacement surgery, right? Back in February, you know. The other week, man, I don't know where we were here or whether we were in West. And John was saying, you know, man, my sister-in-law was on her deathbed, you know, and I showed up anyway. Because that's what I do to honor the commitments that I have made. You know, this shit is real. Anybody that look at me can see that my legs are swollen from the surgery. My legs are swollen. I had a nurse that come in with me today, and she said, you should have worn your compression socks because your leg is swollen. You know? Man, a swollen leg don't stop me from maintaining and upkeeping my commitment. Because one of the things I told Kern and I told John, when I come down here on a weekly basis, I get a picture in my mind. I get a picture of a good decision and a bad decision. I get some therapy when I come down here. I mentioned about not going back to jail, not going back to the penitentiary. Swollen ankle, man. Y'all help me for another week. And then I look at my legs, you know, knees swollen, patella tendon got problems, legs hurting. Today, I brought my cane with me. I got my cane. But I'm committed. I'm committed. And John recognized that, man, last week, man. You know what I mean? And that's why I love that guy, you know? Because sometimes, man, you know, John, man, is on point. John is 100, you know, about this thing. John is serious about this thing. John celebrated 41 years in recovery. Yeah. Yeah. You know? And man, we are always trying to enhance, elevate, you know, our commitments, man. We brought Karen here, and we got a dynamite speaker tonight. Him and his wife are in recovery, you know. And this is what we are doing, man. We are always trying to do something, you know. And like she said, man, she gave a disclaimer before the group started. Look, these people are coming in here to help you, to try to help you, you know, to bring a message of hope. You know what I'm saying? You know, and that's what it is, man, to bring a message of hope, man. I hope that you grab something out of here, man. Don't make this a wasted time, you know, in Henrico Jail, in the RISE program or whatever. Don't make it a waste of time. Make this thing benefit you, man, you know. Start finding out what you can commit yourself to, you know.
Take that to heart.
Yeah.
Time's the only thing you're not going to get back.
Thank you.
Make use of it. I understand it's hard. I've been in places like this. I get it. I'm a convicted felon. Didn't think I had any options. Didn't think I was going to do anything with my life. Eventually, I realized I wasn't going anywhere. I had to make a change, a pretty big change, a pretty scary change for me. Didn't want to do it. Didn't like the view. But I knew that I was going to end up living in a place like this if I didn't do something. Changing your life doesn't have to be impossible, you know. It's like we think it's not a possibility. Changing your life is just making a small change a day at a time. Something small can turn into something really big. When I got into recovery, I didn't have any idea where my life would go. And I just graduated on Friday with my master's degree. Now, I don't...
That's a clap.
I share that as a hope because it's possible for each and every one of us. I didn't have money. I didn't have, you know, all these connections. I did it because I worked a good recovery program. I can't say that enough. I did it because I worked a good recovery program and I took a commitment to myself seriously. It was just one day at a time. Don't use. Get involved. Be willing to grow, you know? Evolve. I don't have to be defined by my past. My future is wide open if I want it. I was willing to work pretty damn hard to get it, and I'm so glad, you know? Yeah.
You know, each week, man, I mean, I have 10 different things that I could talk about. I went to John's anniversary Sunday, and just hearing people talk about how committed this guy is, pulled my phone out and I wrote it down on my phone. Said we can talk about commitment, you know, because this guy has helped a ton of people, and he's committed to doing it and been doing it. I mean, John helped me at the Richmond City Jail in 1988, and he's still helping newcomers today. That's what he's done in these 41 years. He passed it on to me. I got it from him. Help somebody. Help somebody. With that, I'd like to introduce y'all to John. 41 years in recovery. 41 years.
Man,
I love this guy.
You're too kind. Too kind.
Oh, yeah.
I love you, man.
Love you, man.
Good job. Thanks for coming out.
Yeah.
And Karen, congratulations on your master's degree.
Oh, yeah.
Karen had a really nice party the other night at Havana 59. Any of y'all ever been there? Kick back, you could smoke cigars and shit. It was awesome, man. My wife looked at me like, well, wait a minute. It's in a place you can smoke cigars. Don't give me that look, man. But, speaking of my wife, I came home the other night and I had a letter from the clerk of the court. She's thinking, uh-oh, you're in trouble. And I opened it up and said, no, it's my, what do you call it, your concealed permit. She said, what do you need that for? I said, well, I've had one since you could get one. It expired. I got a new one. She said, but you don't carry a gun. I said, no, I don't. But I carried a permit. You never know when you're going to get a gun and have to have a permit, man. How many of y'all can get a concealed permit? One of the benefits of recovery, man. I mean, come on. I just stand here with tremendous amount of just happiness and joy, pride, honor, commitment. You guys and ladies, y'all have just done a tremendous job. I've watched how y'all have evolved when we first started and where we're at now. And I got to admit, you're some of the most respectful, awesome group of people under this condition I can get up in here and get in front of it. I really appreciate that because I know what we do is valuable. I know a lot of people get a lot out of it. And a lot of times we sit up in here and we think, I'm here for another reason or another cause, but I promise you, if you just pay attention, you could probably pick up some pointers or some tips that you can use down the road. I'll give you a tip right now. When you get out, you want to get a concealed permit, even with your record, I can show you how to get one legally. So it's a process. It's going to take a minute. Greg, you get your gun rights back? Yeah. So your speaker going to get up in here and going to talk about that. And I don't want to waste a lot of time with, how wonderful recovery is. But your speaker tonight, in and out of jail, convicted of half the stuff we get convicted of. And how I really got to meet him was I remember years ago, a long time ago, I'm reading the editorials. I read the paper every day. I respond to news stories. I actually write editorials. I write columns periodically. And his mother wrote some editorial comment that got my attention. And I knew the woman was in trouble with a family member. I think I Facebooked her or something. It might be how we first met. And I said, look, if you want some help with your son, I like your comment on the editorial. I think I can help you. And so we had a conversation. And when her son got out of jail for the last time, I think she offered, say, look, I met this guy, Mr. Senholzer. I think you ought to, try re-entering one time into a recovery rather than a sober living situation and see if your life don't get better. And since that time, I've become really close friends with the family, with Greg. And, Greg will probably tell you whatever he wants about whatever he wants. But like most of the people, we are just wonderful people with a bad disease, a bad illness, most of us. And if you can just find your way, like I consider Greg one of my dearest friends. I mean, when I do a Facebook post, his mother will make a comment every now and then. Oh, one of my favorite people. My last post, it was my most favorite person talking about me. And I mean, what another benefit of life, right? When people think that of you. But that ain't why I do this. I do this to stay clean. I wouldn't be here. Whatever it is we do for y'all, somebody did for us, plain and simple. If you want to keep, I want to keep what I got, so I keep doing what I do. And that's just the way we roll. But anyways, hell, let's just give it up for Greg. Come on, Greg. I love you.
I'm not good, Greg Addick. I'm not good with the microphone or anything, so give me a second to figure that out. I remember I talked to John at his anniversary, and I was like, that sounds fuck. I was like, man, Chesterfield got Jelly Roll, and Henrico gets me. And he's like, fuck Jelly Roll, man. I was like, yeah, I don't know, man. So I started comparing myself to Jelly Roll. I was like, he's definitely got... I was like, he's definitely got more money, definitely got more fame. So the only thing I could figure out, like, at least my wife's prettier than his wife. So I told you I was going to embarrass you in the beginning, but I just want to start out by saying, like, I am you. Like, I've been here. I've wore the same denim. I did my jail time, felt hopeless. I know what it's like trying to get bond. Probably won't get bond, and even if you do, family's so pissed off at you, they probably won't even bond you out. I know what it's like begging for commissary money. I know what it's like watching other people go to the store, so I can relate to you guys. I told John, I was like, what do you want me to speak about? And he's like, whatever. So I was like, I've been practicing this for 2 weeks. Can you figure that out? Or is that me? What can I do to avoid that? Stop. Good feedback. So I've been practicing this for like 2 weeks now. John asked me, he's like, you want to go speak out Henrico West on Tuesday? And I was like, no, not really, man. He's like, all right. I was like, but my wife will go. So I sent my wife out to Henrico West. And I was like, he's like, all right, what about Henrico East the next Tuesday? And I was like, all right, yeah, cool. Like, I've done Henrico East. It'd be cool to see 4B again. Like, it'd be cool, kind of like a homecoming. And so, yeah, like, I've been practicing, man. Like, I practice at work, like, the anxiety that comes up that I deal with, like, what are you all going to think of me? I was telling a buddy on the way here, I was like, it's different speaking on the street because people take time out of their lives to come see you. And I'm like, well, at least if I fuck it up here, I'm like, they ain't doing nothing. I'm like, they just, I mean, I love y'all. Like, I get it. Like, that ain't a shot, I swear. What's up, Jermaine? What's up? All right, so every time I tell my story, I'd be like, all right, I'm just going to start with what's most relevant to them. And that's the first time I finally started getting locked up. I finally got consequences for my action because I'm one of those guys, like, I'm going to steal from, like, family. Like, I'm that dude, like, because I'm selfish. Like, I'm going to take from mom, I'm going to take from dad because they won't throw me in jail. There won't be consequences. They won't be able to put their son in jail. So my family tried the rehab, tried the treatment, tried New Life for Youth. I went to California. I've been to Vegas. Like, they've did all they could to try to help me. And with every single time, it was the same results. Like, I come back very first day, I'm getting high again without fail every single time. So I think, give me some grace on my timeline here because I'm probably going to fuck it up. Don't get back in the dorm and be like, dude, that dude's lying because this don't check out. Start picking it apart. Be like, nah, this time don't add up. He's full of shit. My brain's not all there. So get a little bit of grace. So I remember I left New Life for Youth. This is probably about 10 years ago. I left, didn't complete the program. They drove me back to my house, and I was trying to steal my stepfather's GPS out of his car. It's when we still had those. You hook them to the windshield and all that. And he came out. He's like, what the hell are you doing? I'm like, looking for my wallet or something, like some dumb shit. Like, he knew what I was doing. So that time, he's like, no, I'm taking you to the healing place. Like, you're going to rehab. Like, that's just it. Like, no. So I was like, no, I'm not. Like, I'm tired. I'm tired of this shit. If I'm going to live like this forever, like, I don't want to do it. And I was sincere. So I found a syringe. I went outside. He went inside to get the keys, probably call my mom and say, Greg's done it again, man. Like, here he goes. So I was looking for something to put in the syringe that would kill me. So I found Stabil. You all know what Stabil is? It's a gas additive. That's all I could find. So I was like, I don't know if this is going to kill me, but it definitely isn't good for me. So I was like, let's give it a shot. So I drew up my syringe full of, it's equivalent to kerosene, is what I read on the internet. So he ends up getting me in the car, puts me in the car, and I remember we're on 301 whenever that McDonald's used to be there. 301, is that right? We're somewhere. And I'm like, dude, I got to go use the bathroom. So I go in the bathroom, can't find a vein anywhere. Like, y'all know. Y'all know the struggle. So I'm like, all right, fuck it. I'm just going to put it in my foot. So I shoot the whole syringe of Stabil on my foot. And I guess I had a moment of clarity. I was like, because I'd always play the feel sorry for me. Like, this is going on with me. Don't take me to rehab. Give me one more chance. Poor me, right? So I told him, like, halfway to the healing place, I was like, dude, I did this to my foot. And he's like, all right, dude, you're going to the healing place. So I go to the healing place, nothing freaking happened. Like, I'm sitting there, and the next morning I wake up, my foot swells up like a football. I call my mom. I'm like, Mom, I shot gas in my foot. Like, come help me. And she's like, what the fuck's wrong with you, dude? Like, no, I don't. But here comes Mom saving her baby boy. Like, all right, let's go to the hospital. So I think she sends my stepdad to pick me up because every time I was with my mom, I'd manipulate. I would do something dirty to get more, pretty much. So he's like, he comes pick me up from the healing place, takes me to the hospital. I can't remember which one. And it's wild, dude. Like, the doctors were just looking at me like, you did what? And I'm like, yeah, I did that. And they was like, why'd you do it? And for some reason, my stepdad told me, he's like, don't tell him you was trying to kill yourself. I was like, I was trying to get high, and they was just looking at me. So they said I'd be fine. But before the first time I went to the healing place, like, I've done my time. I've done some time, not much, so I'm not trying to say, like, I've done all this time. But I was like, my stepdad, I remember I was real low. This was after I shot stuff in my foot. And if I would have followed through with this, like, I'd be sitting here with you all today in DOC with probably 20 years left to do. This is the only time I've been brought to this level to do it. Like, I think I've shared it with a few people, but this is like where my disease takes me. Is like whenever we was leaving the hospital, like, he was going to get in the car, and I was looking, like, I was like, dude, like, I've already tried to kill myself. I was pretty desperate. I was like, I'm going to kill this dude. Like, seriously, this is what I'm thinking. Don't take me to, like, Hanover County. This ain't Henrico, like, whatever. But I was like, this is where it brought me. I was like, I'm going to kill this dude. I was looking for something to stab him with. Couldn't find it. And this big-ass thing that sits on the nurse's desk, I still don't know what the fuck it was, but it was a big silver metal chunk. And I was like, I'm going to hit him. Like, what the fuck? Like, I'm going to hit him. And I remember his car, we was going down the interstate back towards the healing place. And I was like, all right, it's a stick shift car. And I couldn't figure it out. I was like, how do I get, all right, I hit him, knock him out. Like, I'd be cool with that. But if it killed him, like, there's a few $100 in his wallet, like, whatever. Like, I'm getting a few $100 and I'm going to go get right. That's all I cared about over everything. So I couldn't accommodate for the stick shift. And I was like, okay. I was like, all right, well, wait till we get back to the Healing Place parking lot. Pull in. And I'm like, hey, park over there, like, in the back corner with the vans. Like, between these two vans all the way in the back, right? And for some reason, he fucking did it. Like, I was like, I don't know why he did it. I wouldn't have listened to anything I said. But I remember he backed into the parking spot, and I had it up over my head, and he just kind of looked at me. And I was like, and I just stopped. And he's like, what are you doing? I was like, oh, I was going to hit myself or something. Like, it's... And it's like, you know, like, if I would have followed through with that one more instant and did something that's completely against my nature, I'd still be in prison. Like, I wouldn't be here. There's no way. Like, that would have been fucked. And I was like, that's just where the disease takes me, man. Like, I haven't talked about that. I don't even know if John knows that story. I hope my stepdad don't watch this because we haven't even talked about that yet. So we just kind of acted like that didn't happen. But anyways, all right, all that shit goes down. I'm at the healing place. I just shot gas in my foot, and they take me back to the hospital. This time the hospital keeps me, and my mom comes to see me. My mom comes to see me. My foot's messed up. I'm laying in a hospital bed, and she goes to use the bathroom, right? So as soon as she goes and uses the bathroom, I limp my ass out of the bed, into her purse, steal her debit card. She comes back, kisses me, tells me she loves me. Hope this is the very last time we ever have to do something like this. I'm like, Mom, it is. Don't worry about it. I got it this time. Like, it's going to be cool. So she leaves. I go to the ATM with my little IV thing, just cruising through the hospital. I make 2 transactions, withdraw $500 each time for a total of $1,000. Have my dope man bringing me drugs inside of the hospital, inside of a pizza box. And next thing you know, my mom, like, this is the first time she's ever pressed charges on me. The first time ever. Like, and she did. 2 Hanover cops come in. So I guess I was in a hospital in Hanover County. And they're like, hey, did you take $1,000 from your mom? First time I've ever dealt with cops, y'all, so you know this is a mistake. I was like, yeah, here's the money. Like, it's over. Like, it's cool, right? I thought that was going to be it. Just admit to it. Like, yeah, they got the money back. I ain't going to go. Nah, they put my ass in handcuffs. And I said, what the fuck? Like, I told y'all that you got to come on, work with me. They didn't. So after that, I learned, like, no matter what kind of program you're working on, how you're trying to better your life, get a lawyer. Always get a lawyer. Like, that was... So I did, like, 90 days. I did 90 days in Pamunkey Regional Jail, got out, stole checks from my stepfather in Sandston at the Citizens and Farmers in Sandston. They knew it was sketchy because I had sketchy written all over me. Cops come, I hide behind Citizens and Farmers. Eventually I get picked up and they bring me to Henrico West. And like, if you're here for a drug addiction or if you just don't want to be in Henrico West, like, I get it. Like, that shit's nasty, dude. So I go to Henrico West. They tell me about a drug program here. I know I'm going to have a violation coming up in Hanover. So I come out here. I think I get 9 months for the Henrico County charges, and I get 60 days for my first violation in Hanover County. It was Judge Denicky. Like, she was awesome in Hanover. But so I get out this time, and I meet a girl in Southwest Virginia. That's where I'm originally from, Wise County, Virginia. So I go in there. I go down there, meet her, have no money, have this drug problem, and I go break into my uncle's house. So I break into my uncle's house. I remember whenever I popped the door, my hand, I had like these little latex gloves. I was just thinking about fingerprints and stuff. I hit the side of the door, blood all over the door. And I'm like, that ain't good. That ain't good. I was like, I'll come back tomorrow and clean it up. Like, I got to get in here, get some stuff, and get right. Like, that's all I was thinking about, tunnel vision. So I go in, I steal a bunch of stuff. I drive about an hour away. Eventually, I get pulled over, get arrested for DUI, driving without a license, get possession with intent, like, you know how they always do. Like, if you got two, like, intent to distribute, like, all this shit, stolen property. And I was like, okay, breaking and entering at night, like, all this stuff. I'm like, I'm going to get a few years for this. Like, that's just, I mean, that's how it goes. I'm going to get a few years for this. I'm going to get my first violation from Henrico County, and I'm going to get my second violation from Hanover County. Now, I remember, like, I just wanted to die. I remember the cop pulled me over, and that third time, he put me in the cruiser. I think I was handcuffed in the front with a seatbelt on me. He had the AR-15 in the center. I was in the front seat. And, like, this is one of those times, like, where like, the gasoline, but I meant it. I was like, I tried like hell to get to that gun, put it in my mouth, and, like, that was going to be it. I didn't want to do much more time. I didn't want to live like this. I was tired of being a disappointment. Been to rehab, been to jail, no solutions. I was like, what the fuck? Like, what do I do? Like, this, I mean, I don't want to live like this. Like, that's a miserable way to live. So I end up getting a year in Wise County. It was the first, like my first sentencing was like 1 year. And by the time I got sentenced, I was done with my time in Southwest Virginia Regional Jail Authority. And I was waiting for my last day. Jones, pack your shit, B&B. But I was also worried about the timing of the violations and stuff. The CO walked by me, he's like, Jones, you ever heard of Henrico County? I was like, it's Henrico, prick. But yeah, I knew what it was. It was a violation. So I just did 12 months there. Hanover came and got me for some reason. 5-hour ride in the back of a little SUV with the glass in between. It sucked. So go to Hanover. I'd already did a year at Southwest Virginia Regional Jail Authority. Come here, Hanover. I get to court. I think it's like 12 months. Don't quote me on this. My second violation in Hanover was probably 10 months. And then Henrico, it was like 60 days. But by the time I got out of jail, it was like 2017, December 5th. I'd done like 34 months in county jail because the way DOC wrote it up, they was like, you only got sentenced to 1 year and you've already done that. So I only say all that is because I get it. Like, I can relate to all y'all. Like, I've been there. I've been sitting in the seat looking at people thinking this shit's never going to change. Like, it ain't going to work for me. I've got all this crap going on. Like, I get it, man. So I get out of jail, like John said. He met my mother. My mother was jaded because all these other rehab facilities take money, and they don't do shit to help. So she was like, had a vendetta against anything to do with fixing substance abuse disorder. So my mom would come visit me once a month in Pamunkey, and she actually walked in at the same time John would do his class, and that's how they met. And I was sitting on the phone. I was getting ready to get out in like 60 days, just got my update sheet 60 days before I got out. And there's like this guy, John. He said he wants to take you for 90 days. And luckily, I'd been sitting in jail for all that time, and I was like, I could do 90 days anywhere. Like, all right, cool, I'll do that. Then I'll come home, I'll get a job, I'll live upstairs in the bedroom, and things will be different this time. So I get out, I go to McShin. And I remember that first day out and like all these fantasies I had in my head of like what I'm going to do the first day out and all this stuff. So I get out, I go into McShin, pull into parking lot, walk in, and I'm immediately uncomfortable. Like, I'm not good being around people. I don't like being around people anyways. And I remember I walked in and like I was unsure about it, but I looked to the right in this lady's office named Brenda P. And there was 3 blonde girls like sitting on top of each other, stacked up, like just bouncing up and down on the seat. And that's what made me say, all right, I'll give it a try. Like, absolutely. I mean, I'll keep it real. So I got out, and it was like, the thing I learned, it was hard, man. Like, I've been reflecting a lot. I have 2.5 years clean now. And if you do, thank you. And if you do the math, 2017 was 6 years ago, 7 years ago, so I haven't been clean the whole time since I went to McShin. So, like, with 2.5 years in, I was reflecting a lot, and I was talking to people. I was like, man, it's so hard. Like it took me back to when I was in jail. Like, it's hard being in jail, man. Like, it sucks. Like, I get it. It's hard getting out. Like, we piss people off. Like, whenever we first get out, like, man, I was scared when I last got out because I didn't know how to do it. I was like, I didn't see any solution. I was like, every road leads to me just coming back with 3 violations in 3 different counties with more time. Like, I didn't see how I was going to do it. So luckily, I went to McShin. I went through all the uncomfortableness, like all the house meetings, all the like house meetings at the house, like did what they told me, like 3 NA meetings or something a week. Don't quote me on that. But I did it, and I was like, I didn't like it. Like, it sucked, dude. Like, it sucked. I didn't like the little 20-year-old telling me what to do. I didn't like people that would get, like, Captain Recovery and think they was going to save the world. And, like, they told you what to do. Like, consequences. I hated go out and get a job, not the job, a job. But I did it. And I continued to do it. Like, I was on Color Code. I think it was Color Code at the time. I don't know if they changed it, but I was on Color Code trying to figure out, like, having to get rides to Color Code, having to get rides from Chamberlain Avenue to the foundation. And that sucked, man. So, like, I get it. Like, that shit sucks, but I didn't know any other way to do this. Like, it's already been proved time and time over again that when Greg gets out, he really believes in jail that he's changed, that this is the last time. Like, on the phone telling people, I got it. Like, I'm not going to use it. And I mean it. I mean it when I'm saying that shit. So eventually, I have to look at myself in the mirror and be like, you're the reason that you keep coming back to jail. Like, it's you, it's nobody else. You can't blame nobody else for this. So I remember I stayed at McShin for 90 days. And it was hard. It fucking sucked. Like, I had to do all these chores and menial tasks at the church. But I followed suggestions. Like, people would tell me, do this, don't do that, follow the rules. And I was like, all right, dude, like, I don't see what the correlation to me not, like, the rule is don't wear a hat in the church. And they're like, if you wear a hat in the church, like, you're going to get high. Like, don't that sound crazy? Like, I was like, no, that ain't crazy. That don't correlate at all. But it's like that mentality of, like, being able to follow a simple rule, like, no hats in the church. Like, and like, if I can't follow simple rules, like, I'm not going to be able to follow big ones. Like, that's what I've learned about myself in my experience. Like, I'm not saying that's how you are or how you're going to be, but that's how I am. And our disease, like, we're lucky we're in a time where, like, there's more and more evidence supporting the disease of addiction. Like, this is a disease. The obsession, the compulsion, like, that is the whole makeup of the disease. So I like to explain it like, I get out of jail, I obsess and I think about using. I'm trying to make it. It's hard. I don't have a license, don't have a car, don't have no money, and I keep thinking about using. And the reason I want to use is because life's hard. Like, it sucks and it's uncomfortable. Like, it's uncomfortable having to live with 14 men after you just got out of a dorm living with 60 men. Like, it sucks. And I can't have visitors the first 30 days. My girl can't come. Like, that sucks, man. And, like, there's always this one thing in my head, the comfortable. And you know what's comfortable? It's like going and putting another one in me. It's like the saying in Narcotics Anonymous, we will choose a known hell just because it's comfortable to us. Because that's what we know, that's what we do. Rather than choosing a route of the non-comfortable that's guaranteed to be 100% better than how we've ever lived life. I mean, it's hard to do something that's uncomfortable. And it's hard to come in here, man. Like, it sucks. Like, but I mean, I love this. The reason I come in here is because whenever I walk out of here, I'm gonna feel so fucking good. Like, this is one of the suggestions they gave me. Like, I have a 4-year-old daughter, I have a pregnant wife, I have a career that keeps me in the sun all day, I'm tired. But it's like, I told him I would be here, so I'm here. And the reason I'm here is because they tell us whenever people ask for help, we don't say no, so I can't say no. And every other suggestion they've given me has been true, and it's been fruitful. Like, even the small stuff of working the steps and all that, but I won't get too much into that. The main point of a RCO is whenever, like, I'm not promoting McShin don't pay me, like, I don't give you, I'm just telling you my experience. Like, a RCO shows you how to do it. If you can honestly do some soul searching in here and, like, look yourself in the mirror and say, man, I don't know how to do this shit. And just be honest with yourself. Like, look at your track record and say, how many times have I been to jail? And just like, I can't do it. I need someone to, humility. That is humility to say. As a man, especially, to say, I can't do it. I need someone to help me. And, like, if we're in here, and when I was in here, that was pretty obvious for me to admit. Like, I can't do it. My way doesn't work. Where can I go? And you are so lucky with the saturation of RCOs and rehabs in this area. Like, this recovery community, it's abundant and plentiful. You got McShin, you got True Recovery, you got War Foundation, you got many more. Like, they're all good. Like, I have my opinions. Like, McShin's paramount. That's just been in my experience. And everyone says John's all about the money. He was making way more money painting before he started doing this shit. He was making like $1 million a year before this shit. So don't let them lie to you. I remember I was sitting in Pamunkey and I told my mom, I was like, McShin, and all the other inmates were saying, man, that's bullshit, dude. Like, they're smoking crack out in the yard. Like, they're doing drugs. Like, it's a run-up. But you got to remember, like, you got to remember, like, this dude's sitting in jail beside you. Like, he didn't do something right. Let's be honest. Like, he didn't do something right. And, like, look at your part in it. Like, a lot of people, and I was discouraged. I called my mom back, and I was like, hey, this 20-time convicted felon with all this shit, he said it wasn't a good place. I ain't going. Fuck that. Like, you know, crap, man. So give it a chance. Don't listen to rumors in here. Give yourself a chance. And check it out, because it's really designed for y'all and us. Like, it's designed for us to show us the way. And I'll admit it, like, I'm pretty privileged, like, and I was like, but I've watched people come in there straight out of jail, and this one guy stands out, Archie Jones, man, from Petersburg, came in with nothing, man, straight out of jail. And all he did was show up at the church, do what they told him to do, and he did all the things, and like he has a beautiful life now, and he had nothing, no one to help him, no one there for him, like nothing. So it doesn't matter what demographic you're in, it doesn't matter who your mom is, who your dad is, what color your skin is, like you're loved, because like the way we stay clean is by helping other people stay clean. And McShin, don't get it twisted, like it's not the saving grace. Like it's not just, I'll go to McShin for 30, 60, 90 days, and I'll be good, and I'll go back home. You go to McShin, the only point of McShin is to introduce you to Narcotics Anonymous. That's it. That's the main point. If you miss that and just stay there for 6 months or a year, don't get in the middle of Narcotics Anonymous, and you just think that's your solution, you're good now, you're cured, you're fixed, then if you're anything like me, I'm not saying you are, but if you are, you're going to fail. Like, because NA is like truly what keeps us clean, and McShin is the best introduction to that I've ever seen. The shit works. It's hard to believe that if you get a sponsor, you call them, and you just tell them, like, dude, I'm feeling fucked up. Like, this is what I'm feeling, this is what I'm thinking, that it's going to make you feel better. That if you go to these meetings with 100 drug addicts, 50 drug addicts, and you just share what's going on in your life, that'll help keep you clean. That if you do these 12 steps in the book, because I did it, they told me that it's like, do these 12 steps and you'll be good. I was like, you got to get out of here. There's no way that writing in a notebook is going to make me any fucking better. There's no way that picking up the phone and calling people is going to make me any better. But I watched the people that were doing it, that was giving it a try, and their life was getting better. Like, they was living better. Like, the proof's in the pudding. Like, that's their testimony. I witnessed it, and I tried it, and I got what they got. Simple as that. I have a home now. I got my daughters in a good school district. I got a beautiful, prettier than Jelly Roll's wife back there with green hair. She made it through nursing school. She's an RN. She's not LPN. She's an RN. My sugar mama. Yeah, no, I'm just playing. Not yet. But I got my commercial driver's license, my CDLA. I got that. My dad died at 6 months from COVID. I had 6 months clean. He died at 52 years of age, and I stayed clean through that. It was hard. So I got a beautiful girl, I got another one on the way, 2 dogs, a bearded dragon that it was cute when it was this big, but this motherfucker's like that big now, and it scares me a little bit, I ain't gonna lie. But y'all, like, it's just hope, man. I've been sitting where you are sitting, and it worked out because I did what people told me to do. That's it. All right, well. Thank you, man.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Proud of you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
What Greg didn't say a lot about was every time I needed help with anything, he was always on my call list. He always showed up, man. And I think when you get good and connected into whatever program you end up in, that's what you get, man. I mean, it's simple stuff. I don't know how many people you can call now that will come running, but in recovery, in the recovering community, in these different 12-step programs, because whatever pathway you choose, I choose one that's got great connection, great resources. You ain't never got to be alone again, man. Never again. So, you know, Marshall, you got any value?
Yeah. Can you hear me back there? My takeaway, man. Thank you, Greg. Thank you. You know, when we bring speakers in here, a lot of times I haven't heard them speak. I don't know what to expect, you know. But for me, he gave a true and raw message. Everything about recovery was hard, and he still did it, you know. I mean, here's an individual, I don't know if you heard it or not, that was trying to take his own life. And then he made a decision. Man, let me just give this thing a try. Let me give it a try. You know, I could relate because if you use like me and Greg used, at some point when you out there, that became an option. This ain't working. I ain't getting high no more. I ain't got nobody. My family don't want to be bothered with me. My friends don't want to be bothered with me. I might as well end it all. You know? And I see that today. I see that today. You know, with some of the people that I talk to, some of the people that I deal with. You know, and I was like, dude, you got heroin and fentanyl. Do you think you're going to kill yourself? It's a possibility. You know, I call it self-inflicted suicide. You know it's a possibility, and you do it anyway. And then I have to relate. I have to relate to the mindset of somebody that's using. This ain't rational thinking. You know, you don't think rationally. My mother told me when I went to jail, she said, oh, now he talking like he got sense. You know what I'm saying? All that shit that you be telling your parents, your sister, your girl, they be thinking that you crazy. You know what I'm saying? All of a sudden you're talking like you got sense.
You know, another thing I picked up on that Greg touched on, you got to think about this. How often do we go back to that comfort zone and that chaos zone of active addiction? You basically know how it's going to end. So, yet in recovery, we come in here and we talk about something, some of you probably had some clean time and screwed up, but most of you don't know what we're talking about. We try to present it in a way that, look, wherever you've been compared to where you can go if you choose recovery, they're not even on the same map, man. I mean, the comparison ain't even close. Chaos, drama, jails, institutions, and death, or a life worth living. I mean, you know, think about that. You know, I always keep it simple for people like us. Drug use, shit sandwich, recovery. You know, there ain't much in between. Karen, you hearing anything?
Yes, I'm hearing you.
Well, speak loud when you speak about it.
Okay. Greg, I appreciated you talking about how hard it was in the beginning. It isn't easy. It isn't easy to go in and, what'd you say, have some 20-year-old tell you what to do? Yeah, I'm an adult.
Oh, you like that.
I related to that. I related to that. My early recovery was difficult. I didn't like sitting in these groups and listening to young people tell me about my life. But I needed it, you know? I needed it. My thinking got me in that seat. The shit I was doing was not working. I was not getting anywhere in my life. I did not have any concept of future, except here. That's true. I didn't know what I was going to do. So I appreciate Greg talking about that discomfort. But committing to making a change, stick around long enough, that discomfort becomes comfortable. You start looking forward to seeing these people. You start looking forward to being in an environment where people are actually lifting each other up. Mm-hmm. That shit feels good. Instead of tearing each other down. It feels good. I remember when I first started going to, work in a program. You know, McShin does a wonderful job of giving you some structure. The first, 48, 72 hours after you guys get out of here, critical. What are you going to do that first day or two? What are you going to do? Because it's going to set you on the path to either come back or stay out. You hear me? That's real talk.
You know, most people, if you run to a meeting when you get out of here, you just doubled your chances of staying clean. If you wait a few days, you're going to be screwed for the most part, man. And it's as simple as that. There's so much data, science, and studies out there. Man, the minute I got out of the Marine Corps and I got into Richmond, I went to a meeting that night, got reconnected with my recovering people. You chase your connection in recovery instead of chasing old people, places, and things. You got a day to make a good choice. But the minute you go chase people, places, and things, the old stuff you're probably going to use, and you no longer have a chance to make a good choice because all your choices are going to be getting more, and then you're back on that hamster wheel of the same old stuff, same old results. And don't think, I'm telling you, I can't say it enough. chase your recovery like you chase your drugs, and you'll get recovering results. It's as simple as that. Now, I don't know if I'm going to talk to the guys briefly. I don't know if I got probably the prettiest, most put-together woman on the planet. Michelle knows my wife. She is a beast, man, the bomb, man. I'm a lucky man. Marshall's wife, Brenda, is just as awesome. We got these awesome wives. We live in comfortable houses. We eat what we want when our wives aren't around, because they're going to dictate probably what we get to eat. But that's okay. They dress us nicely. We don't hurt for nothing, man. I mean, think about that. And you ladies, I mean, there's a happy married couple over here supporting each other. There's the relationships, man. Think about that. And we got children that we got great relationships with. I've seen their daughter, man. That's the bomb, man. And you know, you look at our children. I mean, you can actually have this incredible life, man. It's like the Garden of Eden. You can have anything you want, but don't eat the apple. You can have anything in recovery you want, but don't take the first drug. Real simple stuff, man. It's as easy and simple as that. Any other thoughts?
Don't wake the monster up. Don't wake the monster up.
Yeah.
Yeah, let the monster sleep.
Yeah. Y'all had enough?
Yeah.
All right, well, it's
Thank
been a
you for
pleasure
being here.
coming in here, man. Y'all have a good couple
here.
weeks.
Thank you for being here. All right, man. Yeah.